Welcome back to YMHA. I am back joined by Allie, Amy, and Travis. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Awesome.
Ended.
So this might be the quietest we've ever heard Amy. We'll see if it lasts. So we're gonna we got a lot to talk about. Something that I saw come up about 2 weeks ago now, I guess, was a page I follow on Facebook. It's called Rooted in Adoption. It talks about adoptees' travels. It talks about what their upbringing was like in the sense of, you know, kind of whether it was a struggle, whether it was how they coped, whatever the case may be. But it really revolves around adoptees. So November, for those who are not aware, November was National Adoption Awareness Month. So one of the statistics that was thrown out there was that adoptees are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than a non-adopted person. So me being me, I went and I decided, let's fact check that. According to WebMD, that is from Medscape directly, that adopted offsprings are actually 4 times more likely. The actual number was 7.1% higher than to a 3.6% rate of attempted suicide amongst adoptees versus non-adoptees. So it got me thinking, and wanted to talk to the 3 of you, obviously. You know, adoption has a big effect, right? It has a huge impact on our mental health. So we threw it out there. Let's talk about that. So, you know, those of you who are watching, the 3 of you, I'm sure obviously know by now, I am adopted. I was adopted when I was about 4 or 5 months old, finalized right around 2, 3 years old. You know, so we got some questions that came in. Allie, I know you're on your phone, right? So you had sent in a couple of questions. So a question that you had asked was, did it bother me that my birth parents gave me up for adoption? And if so, how did I process that? So before I answer that, specifically, what do you want to know about? Because, you know, you guys know, I've told you, open book, I'll discuss just about anything. So is there anything in specific you want to know, or is it just more of a general question?
Just more of like in general.
Okay. So my entire life, you really don't know, right? You kind of start questioning things because obviously my parents are both Caucasian. My father's Sicilian, my mother's Irish. Clearly being Asian, I look nothing like them. So for me, did it bother me that my birth parents gave me up? For the longest time, I didn't really even think twice about it. You know, to be very frank, it was kind of, your parents are whoever raises you, right? Anybody can have a child, basically, is my thought, but it takes certain people to be a parent. So did it bother me? Up until probably the past 2 years, I didn't really give it much thought. And, you know, I say much thought, I thought about it, but not where I stress myself out. Over the past 2.5 years, yeah, it kind of bothered me because you want to know certain things. You want to know, really for me, it was the why. Why was I given up? You know, was there financial reasons? Was it because of poverty? Was it because of whatever? And I'll never have those answers. So my mental health was, over the past couple of years, has been tested greatly in the sense of I have to be okay with knowing I'm never going to have that closure. As far as the processing it, you know, Travis, kind of to pull him out of this, it was, so congratulations on a side note to Travis, 1 year sobriety. So congratulations. Great job, buddy. Proud of you.
1 year and 1 day.
1 year and 1 day. There you go. So let's be specific.
Give me my day.
Give you your day. I'll give you that day. So,
thank you.
You know, to his point, anybody can do it, right? Anybody can beat that. For me, I won't say I was at a point where I was an alcoholic. I will say I was at a point where I felt that if I was going out with people, or if I was just in a point where I was like, I wanted to be by myself, I would have a few drinks. The problem being that few drinks could turn into a lot of drinks.
The whole bottle.
Yeah, I mean, and it's happened. You know, there was a period of time, I'll be honest, I was coming home and I would think about it and, you know, get caught up in my feelings, and a bottle of scotch later, it was gone. And woke up the next morning, functioned just fine, went to work. Hangover happened the first couple times, but it wasn't a daily thing. So my processing was very different. I had to.
Was there something like pivotal that happened at your life, or something that out of nowhere where you suddenly didn't think about it and then all of a sudden you were thinking about it out of nowhere? Is there something that happened that triggered that?
So yeah, so people don't know this, right? My mother my adoptive mother, I consider my mom, obviously, raised me and taught me my values. And, much like the rest of you, I have a very sick, twisted sense of humor because of it. And Amy's trying not to laugh because she knows it's true. So found out that my mother has a biological son that she had to give up when she was young, teenage years, late teenage years, early 20s, whatever it may have been. And it was hard for me because it was, I've talked to her about it, talked to my father about it. It was really pushed on me as a person of, this is who it is. This is your brother. You have to accept it. Da, 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 da. And it just, so over the past couple of years, it was, I don't want to deal with this. So to be very frank with you, the relationship I had with my mother 2+ years ago is not the same today. I actually didn't talk to her for about a year. Just straight up, she was on my block list on my phone. She would try to reach out to my wife. She tried to reach out to whoever she could to try to basically run that end around to the point where they blocked her and didn't want to hear from her because she's trying to drag people in. And so that was really the big thing for me. I'm one of those, let me process on my own. Don't push something down my throat because it's just not going to end well. My health is more important. So that said, right, we're at holidays, so I try to forgive and forget, or at least let go. But I will say I'm a big advocate of, I don't care if they're your family. If they are bad for your mental health, stay away from them. I don't care that they're your family. I don't care who they are. Your mental health is, to me, more important than being with your family. All right. If they're toxic to you, stay the hell away from them. You do you. You've got to be happy. So, like I said, about a year, I didn't talk to my family. My mom, my dad, unfortunately got the back end of it just because. But that's really what triggered it. And about, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, it started to kind of get back to, I can have a conversation with you. I can be in the same room with you. I can be civil. Does it mean that I forgot what you did? The answer is absolutely not. I'll never forget that. So that was really what kind of set me off. The processing, it's one day at a time, right? Travis, I think we talked about it. Everything we do, I take it one day at a time. So I hope that answers your question. I know it's very long-winded.
No, it was thorough. But it kind of almost makes me want to tweak my second question a little bit.
Okay.
Because of the fact that you mentioned, just a lot, you touched base on a little bit of the adulthood side of things.
Sure.
So kind of more of what advice would you give to somebody not only suffering from that abandonment issue from adoption,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're struggling with the thought of their birth parents not wanting them, but kind of also too, how would you, what advice would you give to somebody who say made it, into their 30s with, having a parent consistently there, and then that parent out of nowhere kind of abandoning them and not passing away, still being present, but choosing to not be involved in their child's life. And, even though you're an adult and it's, something, kind of the two comparisons, since you kind of, finding out that, this had happened again at such a late age, how you would compare the two and processing through.
Yeah, so it's a good question. I will say that the abandonment issue, I never really kind of considered an abandonment issue on either side. I was so young when I was given up for adoption that it really never clicked. I actually had to call my mom on my way home from the office tonight before we were doing this just to kind of get some clarification. So I actually, around 3 years old, we were in the library and I picked up a book apparently that was about adoption. And just my mom had said it was something about being adopted from South Korea, which is where I'm from. And that's how I came up with, look, my eyes are like footballs, not like basketballs like yours. 3 years old, you don't really comprehend what you're saying, right? So to this day, I will still tell you I have little slanted eyes. Those of you who know me clearly know my nickname for some of my friends. Allie, I'm sure you know, Scuba definitely knows. We won't say it because it is, it's not a good name. But, I wouldn't say that for my mom, my adoptive mother, if you just for terms of what we're talking about now, that it was an abandonment issue. I am very analytical. So for me, I overanalyze a lot with everything. So whether it's my work, whether it's my personal life, whatever it may be, I overanalyze. When somebody gives me information, I have to process that myself. almost to a fault. And so I want to say again, it's not an abandonment thing. It was more of a let me process this on my own. Let me analyze what's going on. Let me digest it, and let me go through that process. When you're constantly pushing something down my throat and saying this is what it is, you got it, I don't do well. I close up, and at some point it will boil over. And let me be very clear: when it boils over and I lose it, I mean, it's like all hell breaks loose, right? So, Amy, you've got 7 dogs. So kind of picture all your dogs at one time, 3 people ringing your doorbell for 10 straight minutes. It's like that, but worse. Like, it's just constant. Like, I freak.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's fair. Yeah, I mean, and it's you're not letting me do what I need to do. You know, and it got to the point where I was able to tell my dad, like, hey, this is what's going on. You know, one or two things. She's either going to back off and let me deal and process and get through this myself, or she's not. And if she doesn't, that's her. Like, I have no issue not talking to people. I don't care. Like I said earlier, I don't care if you're family or not. If you're toxic for my mental health, I don't care. I don't need to talk to you, right? And she finally understood, like, and she was, you know, adult and mature and said, you know, that's my fault. I'm sorry. We haven't talked for almost a year. You know, that's on me. I shouldn't have been pushing that down your throat. So it was nice to hear her finally take some accountability in the sense of, you know, hey, I shouldn't have done that. The advice I would give to other people is you have to have your way of processing. I don't care how it is, right? Everybody processes differently. The abandonment issue is very different for people. For me, again, I didn't feel it was abandonment. I just felt it was, I wasn't given enough time to process it myself. So everybody, you just got to be able to process. You got to figure out what works for you. Everybody's going to be different. I know I have plenty of friends who are adopted. They all processed very differently than I did. They processed of, all right, well, they were very open with it. They talked about it. We knew from day one. Some people didn't. So just find what works for you, honestly, is the only thing I could tell people. So did that answer that, hopefully?
Yeah.
Good. All right. So Amy, Travis, whoever wants to go. I know we got some
Please
questions.
let Travis go. I know he's been dying.
All right, Travis, go ahead. What questions do you have?
Adopted as a baby.
Okay.
At what age should the new parents tell the child they were adopted?
Okay, that's a good one. It's hard, right? And I say it's hard because you have to figure out what's best for you. I started learning about adoption when I was 3-ish. Right around the time I was 5 or 6 is when my parents told me, because I have a younger sister who's adopted. That's the only relation her and I have. And right around that time is when they kind of had that conversation of, you know, you're adopted. The funny story behind that was when I was talking to my mom tonight was, so we were both adopted through the Catholic Charities. The person handling our adoption, we'll leave her name out of it, had asked my mom, you know, when this all started happening, of, does Vincent understand what's going on? Does he understand the adoption process? And my mom said before she could answer, I looked at her and said, yeah, my parents can't have babies on their own, so we have to go buy them. So even at that age, I already had a sick, twisted sense of humor, apparently. I think it's different for every family. I think the family has to fill it out. I think that it should be early enough on for a child to be able to grasp it and understand it, but I don't think it should be, let's wait 18 years and tell you, hey, you're 18, by the way, you're adopted, especially in my case, where you're not, I don't look anything like my parents. So obviously I knew I was adopted. You know, there's something in me that told me you're not my birth parents. What happened?
Do you think you're mature enough at that age when you did figure that out to hear that news?
At a younger age,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was easier to handle. I don't know if it was maturity. I think it's easier to grasp because as a child, you're very naive, very innocent.
Like it's just built into your brain from that point on. That this is.
Exactly. And that's why I tell people, it's, you know, for me, it's like we weren't ever taught color as children, right? It was there was one race, and we're all humans. Treat each person with dignity, right? And so I think as a child being very innocent like that, it sank in a little bit more, and it sat okay with me. I don't know that there's a right age. I will be very honest about that.
Of course.
I think it's just really based on the family. Some families may never want to tell their kids. You know, I can't speak for them, and I'm not going to judge them because they have to do what's best for them.
Right.
So again, yeah, I don't know that there's a good age. I would say they have to be able to comprehend what's going on.
Right.
What else? Any other questions, Travis?
What kind of mental health issues does an adopted child go through? Like, I guess you could say not being wanted, but yet you're adopted, not fitting in, not good enough, or, what kind of, I didn't even know
That's
you were adopted till the other day. So I'm like, well, I don't know anything about adoption. Who's adopted? You're like, no, me.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and people don't realize that. So I'll tell you, like, they hear Vincent Perrone, and people walk in, like, and they point to the first guy that looks like a Vincent. And when people are like, oh, no, that's him over there, and they point to me, they're kind of like, wait. And they literally stop and they say, wait, are you sure? So mental health, I mean, everybody's different again, but I think a general consensus is, you kind of hit it on the head when you said, a feeling of not being wanted. There are multiple times where I've sat back and, even to this day, and it's kind of like you think of why was I put up for adoption? Why wasn't it somebody else? Why was I the one that was chosen to be given away? Why did they not want me? One of the most powerful things I think I can relate it to is, and I'm going to probably date myself, but y'all remember the show, Will Smith's show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping. Okay. So there was a scene when he was older in college that his biological father came back and visited and just kind of popped back into his life. They spent the whole episode talking about that. And at the end, the father did what he did when he was born, disappeared. And he fell into the character James Avery was playing, his arms, and said, why doesn't he want me? And for me, that hit home, and it kind of, and I'll be honest with you, it choked me up because it was, when you're adopted, I can't imagine. Number one, I was very lucky. I grew up in a 2-parent house. That's hard to say for a lot of people, especially at this day and age, right? But it caught me because it was like, as an adoptee, you really think that I was put up because you didn't want me. And for me, my mental health was what I was going through my mind was, you didn't want me. I'm not good enough, which means if I'm not good enough for my own biological parents, my own birth parents, then I'm not good enough for anybody else in this world. And then you have, I hate to say it, but the truth is some people start to have those suicidal tendencies, right? So we started off, adoptees are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than a non-adoptee. And it's true, does it mean that we attempt it? Not all the time. Does it mean that it crosses our mind? Honestly, for me, it crossed my mind multiple times. Just because it was a feeling of not being wanted. They didn't love you. They didn't care for you. You were a mistake. And that was the big thing that stuck with me my entire life and I'm still, hand to God, still working on that, of learning that it wasn't my fault. Things happen for a reason, and I have to be okay with that. But mental health for everybody, they're going to go through some struggle. And a lot of, for me, it was depression. It was anxiety. It was, suicidal thoughts, not so much the tendencies, but the thoughts. So I would imagine, if I had to guess, I would say a general consensus would be most adoptees have some sort of feeling of the same. Maybe not the whole way, but I would imagine they have some sort of thoughts of, why me? Why am I not good enough, but that person is? Especially like in my case, apparently I had siblings that I didn't know about, and I still don't know who they are. So why was I the one that was chosen to be given away, basically, not them? I almost feel with going through school and growing up, I was the person that just kept my head down, which Allie, you and Scuba know me really well. I'm not that person who just puts their head down and just kind of goes with the flow. I'm the loud, rambunctious, hyper one that wants to have a good time, is bouncing from person to person, making sure they're all having a good time. So for me in school, it was just kept my head down, didn't really socialize in the sense of let's go to parties every weekend. I will admit it. And I know Maritza, Amy. I know her because, yes, I was on the debate team in high school all 4 years.
Okay.
That's how I actually know Maritza.
Okay.
So
So
that's
Vinny,
just
Beyond the
there are plenty of videos of me out there in national tournaments. So actually a friend of mine posted it on my Facebook page. I quickly deleted that because I looked at the picture from then to now.
Me, please.
I'll see if she
No.
has any.
Let me put it this way: that 20-year challenge, I failed, miserably failed. All right. Like I said, I kept my head down and focused on schoolwork. Right. I figured, let's live to a stereotype. I'm Asian. I need to be good in school. Which, yes, I was, but regardless. What I would say to everybody now is
No.
very simple. Everybody's going to struggle. Adoptees, we struggle a lot more, it seems like, just because people don't understand what we're going through. So I will tell you, if you know people that are adopted, best suggestion, check in on them. Just make sure they're okay. Don't have to say that they're adopted or because they're just checking on them, because we're going through a lot more at times, especially now during the holidays, than other people. So hopefully that answered. I know it was long and very roundabout, but hopefully that answered. Any other questions you might have or any follow-up questions you want?
If Amy was adopted, is there a return policy?
Good question.
I just got a text about it, so.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we'll table that one.
Great question. So, no, there is no return policy. It's not like, look, it's not like buying a pair of shoes.
All unwanted Amy with me. I will take all the Amy.
But you have to bring the dogs, right? That's the deal.
See, some people love me. It's okay.
We never said we didn't love you. We just said, is there a return policy?
I'm sure there is.
Whatever. No, I mean, people actually have asked that to me. Like, if your parents decided when they adopt you, they changed their mind, can they send you back? And to me, it was always like, what do you mean send them back? It's not like a pair of shoes. It's not a car that you're turning in from a lease. Like, the hell does that mean?
That's the level of understanding that we don't have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying about the whole process. And so I think that's why it's good to talk about it.
Correct. And that's the big thing, is that people don't understand that, so to me, when you adopt a child, it's like adopting an animal. It is a lifelong commitment. It is not we're going to have you for now, but the second you annoy me or the second I don't want you, I can give you back. It's the same thought process. It's the same thing. No, there is no return period. Let's get that out there. If you're going to adopt a child, you better be ready for that at minimum an 18-year experience, because it's an experience. I don't say commitment, it's an experience. You're with us basically from shortly after we're born till we turn 18 and we leave the house to go to college. Or you stay at home because you don't believe in going to college or going to work, whatever. You want to live in your parents' basement for the rest of your life? Go ahead. Not going to judge you.
So no return policy then?
No return policy. Sorry, you're stuck with her.
I'm gonna throw this application away then.
Sorry, Amy, you're done. Sorry. All right. Any other questions from you, Travis? Any other follow-ups?
No, my minute's up.
So that leaves it for those of you who don't know. Obviously, we have a group chat, and so we lotted out a minute for me, a minute for Allie, and a minute for Travis. So the last 27 minutes or so apparently are for Amy. I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll go with it. So, Amy, questions that you have about adoption and mental health. What do you got for me?
I went for how has being adopted affected how you formed your identity. And what I mean by that, I know everybody knows what identity is, but we form that by when we make our I am statements. Mm-hmm. So how has being adopted become a part of your identity, and how has it formed and shaped some of that? Explain a little bit. Has it been in a positive, negative way? How has it affected that part of your mental health?
Damn. So before I begin, let me think about that. So I did get these questions ahead of time so I could try to prepare, and I did a terrible job apparently. So thank you for throwing that one out there.
Clearly he thinks he's Italian.
Yeah, I mean, I clearly think I was born Sicilian. So when people ask, they're like, "Oh, you must be Asian of some sort." I actually look at them like they have 4 heads, and like, the hell. I actually looked at somebody. I'll be honest with you. I was out one night, and somebody said, "Oh, you're Asian. Where in Asia are you from?" I looked at him and said, "The hell are you talking about? My dad's Sicilian. My mother's Irish." He looked back at me. He's like, no, look, you definitely look Asian. I said, clearly you have this twisted, jaded view on what people should look like, but my dad's Sicilian, my mother's Irish. So part of my identity is very sick and twisted humor. I think I do that to cover up the fact that I am adopted, in all honesty.
Sure.
But I like
that. Does the same thing though too. So
we all do.
Same situations. It's like I feel like it's like a positive way to kind of deflect those questions.
I mean, it's
like what Travis does. Weird.
Well, I mean, so like, here's a perfect example of like what I mean by that. So we would be in the grocery store, I'd be in a stroller or young, whatever, walking hand in hand with my mother down the aisle, and somebody would be like, "Oh, is his father Oriental?" And I would look right at him, dead serious, dead to right, and say, "No, her boyfriend is." And the look people would give us, and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, it's something bad's gonna happen right now." Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so my identity from adoption, it's been different. You kind of have to form your own, obviously, regardless if you're adopted or not. I was influenced more by the culture I was raised in, right? Everything's culture, regardless. I don't care what your background is. If I was raised with my biological family, would it have been different? Yeah, probably. It would have been more of an Asian culture, right? More of that, you take your shoes off before you enter a building, before you enter the house type deal. Ours was, you had the big family dinners, the big family Christmas. You had, let's say there were 6 people coming over for Sunday dinner. You cooked enough for 30, right? That's really, Ali, you're Italian, so we overcook everything. I still do. I'll be honest with you. It's me and my wife in the house, and I cook like there's like 5 people here. Clearly, I could stand to miss a few meals and be okay. Overall, I think my identity has gotten to the point of people just expect the loud, joking type person. I watch my mouth when I'm at work, not so much when I'm out of work or when there's nobody around. When nobody's around and I'm at work, the mouth on me is not good. I'm already loud, and to hear some of the things I say, you'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Especially,
I probably wouldn't think that, but I could see how maybe other people would.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are probably one thing. Others are probably like, "What the hell is this kid's problem?" I'm the guy that'll walk around, like we could be in public, right? We could all be going out to dinner or somewhere, and somebody do something just completely that we all look at and be like, "What a tool bag!" And I would be the genius that would actually be like, "You're a fucking idiot. Why would you do that in the middle of public?" Like those are the types of things. That's just how I am. I think it's okay to speak your mind. I think there's a time and place. I just haven't learned that time and place all the time. I mean, overall, though, personally, my growth with my mental health and just being adopted has been struggling, at the least. So you got your finger tapping there. What's going on? What's on your mind? What's next?
Yeah, the wheels, they always turn. I really kind of want to take it. I feel like adoption, I've known several people who've been adopted, and I've known some people to go some really rough roads who have been adopted and things like that. And I feel like a lot of times people have a negative connotation or assume a negative connotation on a lot of it, just probably because they don't know a whole lot. But I kind of want to know what the positive insights are. What positive takeaways from being adopted have you felt, and what insights could you offer to somebody who is struggling?
Really good. So I like that, because the positives you can take away is you have a life, or you can be exposed to a life that you may not have, opportunities that you may not have had the chance to even experience, right? One of the things that I was asking, and this is how I related, because it's the most relatable for me, is we look at the world and we look at the number of children, and there are children in this world, there are families, there are adults in this world that will never have that. For them to visit Disney World is literally a dream. They will never be able to do that. I had the opportunity growing up because of what my father did in his work with his job for 24 some odd years. We were in Disney World 2 or 3 times a year. So when I started giving back, and I started doing a lot of volunteering with different nonprofits like the American Cancer Society, Leukemia and Lymphoma, March of Dimes, it was somebody had asked me once. Actually, I think it was a really good friend. They said, "Why do you want to do this?" And I said, "Because I was lucky enough to experience what it was like to grow up and be able to go to Disney World. I was able to experience not having to worry about where my next meal was coming from. Was I going to get the new outfits for school, the new shoes when I needed them, things like that." So for me, it was, we have a life of opportunities that we probably never would have had. As far as anything else, I mean, that's my biggest takeaway, to be very upfront and very direct. Would I change anything in my life now? The answer is probably not. Because it's hindsight's always 2020, right? I can always sit back and say, yeah, I wish I would have done this. Well, it's the past. I can't live in the past, right? And the past is over. Today's a gift. That's what I call the present. And tomorrow's not promised to anybody. I'm not going to, number one, let me be very clear. I'm not going to apologize for the upbringing I had. I'm not going to sit here and think of, well, what if my parents would have done this? What if this would have happened? What if that would have happened? I don't care. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. We're not fortune tellers. Allie's the only one here that I know of, at least, who's a mermaid. So, I think that that's just really what it is. There's a lot of positives from being adopted. I do think that a family who wants to even foster a child, there's a lot to be said about them, because as much as it takes a toll on my mental health, or as an adoptee's mental health as a whole, an adoptive parent and a foster parent, even at that, it's 10 times worse, right? Because a foster parent, that child can be removed from your home at any time, and they tell you don't get too attached. That's impossible. If you're a loving person, it's impossible. Adoptive parents, the biggest thing negative that an adoptee has ever said, and I will admit I was one of them, is you hear, "You're not my real parents." And you never know the impact it has until you're older. I've said it. I couldn't tell you how many times when I was a child. I couldn't tell you how many times I told my parents I hated them. Every child tells their parents they hate them at some point. We know that. 10 minutes later, you come out and they want to be your best friend again. Like, it's like nothing.
Do you feel like, to a degree, that's because you always feel a little bit hurt?
No,
even though you've processed it, you understand it, you've gotten past it, but somewhere inside.
I don't think it's because it's a gut reaction in the sense of we feel hurt. I think it's a reaction in the sense of, how's the biggest way we can jab that knife into you, right? I'm so pissed off at this moment for whatever reason, right? And who the hell knows, honestly, why the hell we get pissed off when we're that age. But quickest way to get back at you and to really not only dig the knife in, but turn it multiple times is, well, you're not my real parents. I don't care. You're only doing this because you have to. As you get older, as I got older, it was, oh shit, yeah, they wanted to do that. It wasn't that they had to.
Right.
I couldn't tell you how many times, and I think a lot of kids hear this, in our generation of, we brought you into this world, we could take you out, right? We were raised very differently. I had the luxury of being able to look at my parents one day and say, actually, that's not true. You did not bring me into this world, which means you cannot take me out. They looked at me like I was crazy. By the way, I'm not crazy. My mother actually did have me tested, which is a topic for another time. If you guys want to hear it, I will happily talk about that. But
sure, and technically I'm not either.
No, test results from psychiatrists actually prove I'm not. So thank you, Big Red. It was, I actually looked at my parents, and when I said that, they were like, what the hell does that even mean? I said, well, I'm adopted. You only brought me into this country. You can only have me deported. And my dad said, and it's one of those, like, you're trying to discipline your child. You can't laugh. And you just saw my dad. He had to turn around and walk away.
To laugh at that.
Because he was like, shit, he kind of got us. And that, I think, set my mom off over the edge a little bit more. I didn't see the outside of a room much that summer as a kid. I was grounded for a majority of that summer because of that. Amongst other crap that I pulled. So negative versus positive, pros, cons, whatever. There are a lot more positives in my mind as an adoptee that you take away from adoption than you'll ever have as a negative. I think that we have to be conscious of what these adoptive parents and foster parents as well are doing, because whether they could have children or not, whatever it is, something in them told them, we have all this love to give and nobody to give it to. Let's share it. How do we do that? And I think that it's commendable. And, you know, let's be honest, there's not enough time. There's not enough ways we can, you know, appreciate them and show them that, you know, yeah, you get Mother's Day and Father's Day 2 days a year. Truth be told, foster parents and adoptive parents, just like your birth parents, should be celebrated, because honestly, it's harder to me, in my opinion, being adopted. It was harder for my parents than it is for a biological parent. You know, that's your child. This is somebody that you love, that you have to love unconditionally. It's not to Travis's point, we're going to have you for 30 days and return you. You know, it's a life I mean, that's just messed up if you do, but that's kind of where my thought process is that there's a lot more positive. And for me, there was a lot more positive than negative could ever have been. You know, so hopefully that answered that. You guys have any other questions? Once, twice. Allie, you good?
Yes.
All right. Travis? I mean, now that you know you can't return Amy, I know you're going to rip up that application.
Oh, it's already, yeah,
it's
gone.
already gone. All right. Amy, anything else you want to end on?
No, I just think that's really cool that you shared all of that and that you have those insights. And honestly, I have to say, like, I think you've done a bang up job of processing all that information. I don't think it's easy to do necessarily, especially for an analytical mind. So
it's definitely not
kind
easy.
of happy and proud of you and for you that you're in the place that you're in now, even though we've all gone through our messy stuff, you know. But I think that's great, and I'm glad that you're sharing it with people, because you never know who's out there to hear something like that could save their life.
You know, and a friend of mine said, I was with her on Saturday. Allie, you know her, Liz. You know, she actually I met her up at a local restaurant. We had some food and whatever, and a bunch of us were hanging out. And she said, you know, I'm really happy somebody decided to do something like what you guys are doing, because it really just puts life in perspective for people. And that's all I can ask, right? I would lie if I told you that I was doing this all on my own, and I had done it, because I haven't. You know, we learn who our true friends are through life. My dad always told me, you'll be lucky if you can count all your friends on one hand. That seemed absurd to me when I was 15, 16 years old. The truth is that I can count my friends on one hand, and it doesn't even take a full hand. My support system is my significant other. You know, my wife is my biggest supporter, and I would not be able to do any of this without her. A friend of mine actually has looked at me and said, look, after almost 16 years, January will be 16 years we've been together. A friend of mine looked at me and said, you're very lucky, because who else is going to sit there and put up with your crap? To their point, that's true. Nobody is. I mean, you know, Allie, you and Scuba know me fairly well. I'm a lot. You know, Amy, you are probably
trophy. That's for sure.
What's that?
She deserves a trophy.
Yeah, I mean,
or something really shiny for Christmas.
You know what? Leave me alone. I think the only person that's probably more of a handful than I am is probably Amy. Oh my God. The only reason I say that and is because I think that, you know, some of the conversations you and I have had, it's like, I sit there and I look and I'm like, holy crap, this is somebody who actually could give me a run for my money. Like, I say some wild and random shit and you just come right back.
I think.
All right. You know, so, you know, look, I'm happy to share stories. You know, I told you, yes, I actually was tested about just shy of 4 weeks being evaluated. So no, my mother had me tested. I am not crazy. Off-centered, yes. Crazy, no. But we can say that for another time. As we wrap up, guys, any other questions, thoughts, fears, concerns, apprehensions, anything you got for me? No?
Nope.
All right, well, look, guys, anything you want to know, shoot me an email. Any of you watching, you have any other questions, feel free, send us an email. You can send it right through our Facebook page. Find us at YMHA, through our Instagram, ymha.info. We changed the handle just a little bit because the year is, thankfully, 2020 is coming to an end. So we're going to get some more videos out there. I've got a nice, fun one that Allie and Amy have done for us. So it's their outtakes.
Amy's OnlyFans page, that video?
Yeah, exactly. So you can find Amy on OnlyFans there. It's a Big Red. let me not say that.
Really just me insulting Travis.
Exactly. Well, let me not say that, because what's going to happen is somebody's going to go look at an OnlyFans and look up Big Red, and there's actually going to be an OnlyFans page for somebody named Big Red. No, so there's some, you guys did a lot of videos this past week for us. I appreciate it. We'll start getting those out in parts. Travis, I know you put out a new podcast recently about your 1 year and 1 day of sobriety. And if you guys look right behind Travis, you see his new neon light that was provided to him by one of your sponsors, right? Was it Hand and Foot Massage of Palm Beach Gardens?
Katrina, my girl.
So, look, you know what? You did well. We're proud of you. And we, I definitely, Allie, I think you're the crafty one in the group. Could you make one of those?
A neon light?
Well, it doesn't have to light up. But I mean, if you made it light up, that'd be great.
I could paint it so it looks like it's a neon light.
I mean,
with neon.
Oh, the thing changes colors too?
Yeah. It's got ginger.
She's above you. Well, to me, she's above you. It doesn't even work. Oh, there it is. Wow, what a shocker. The ginger gave him a hard time. So what we are going to do is, so Allie and Amy have recorded those videos. Again, thank you so much for getting those out there. I know it's been a crazy few weeks, a couple months for us. Holidays are here. So we are going to get up probably turn of the year, right before the turn of the year. They are working on putting together their outtake reel. So we're going to get their blooper reel up so you guys can all see that, right? Amy, I think you posted it. Look at people, talk to people, and judge their personality, because social media, this is bullshit, right? We know that, right? Filters exist. People.
It's a highlight reel.
Yeah, I mean, people pretend to have these great, fancy lives 24/7, and the truth is 98% of us do not have it. That's why those others are called the top 2%. So we're going to get the blooper reel out because we want you guys to see that we are human. We make
so real.
Amy and Allie are probably a little.
They're not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, I think Amy and Allie are probably a little too
really
real for most
awkward.
of us. Well, I mean, one of the videos, I have to edit some of the videos out. Thank you, the two of you, for the editing. Not necessarily fully appropriate for what we're doing.
That's questionable. You never said anything about being appropriate.
I said as long as they're somewhat professional. I did draw that statement back, though. I did draw that back. I'll admit that.
My text, okay, there was no mention of the word professional because I wouldn't.
Actually, I think I said it. Yeah, it might have been just to Amy, but it was there.
I do not recall.
I did draw that back because I think Travis and I agreed on this one. No, Epstein did not kill himself. Right? I mean, Travis, is that wrong? Did Epstein kill himself?
This is why Travis is on a CIA watch list.
Well, if he wasn't before, we all are now. Y'all are going to get ready to start traveling, and we're all going to be on a no-fly list. Great. Congratulations.
Y'all been texting me. Y'all are fucked.
Yeah, it's all in writing. Yeah, we're all fucked. Look, trust me. I'm not worried about that. So, but look, guys, we're going to get all that out. We're going to get some more videos out. Allie, over the next few days, we'll start putting some stuff out with me. Amy, I know you got a full boat ahead of you as we wind down the year into the new year.
I'm pretty easy, honestly. Like, it's funny because this time of year, people are traveling, people are doing all kinds of other things. So I chill out a little bit.
Good. And then Travis, holiday. So let's end on this. Holiday plans. We are 17 days out from Christmas. Hanukkah, for those who celebrate Hanukkah, that starts Thursday night at sundown, Friday morning. So holiday plans, New Year's Eve. Look, I think we're all excited. 2020 is about to end in just shy of 3 weeks. Hopefully 2021 is going to be better for all of us. What are you guys' plans? What are you guys doing for the holidays? Anything fun, or are you just kind of hanging out and recharging?
Family stuff. Just doing the family thing.
Okay. Travis, Amy?
Amy,
I
go
got
ahead.
nothing.
Wow. Amy's speechless, Travis.
Crash my family parties.
I am not allowed to go see my family because of my father's health, and so I don't know. It just kind of is what it is. That's really the only family I have. So
your parents are over in Tampa, correct?
They're north of that by a few hours.
Okay. Well, they're northwest of us, so
yeah.
And I know you and I have talked about it. So, from us here, best wishes for your father and your family, and
Thank you.
a good recovery and a fast one. Hopefully it all works out. So, Travis, what about you? Any plans for the holidays?
No.
Just staying at home with
Work.
the dogs.
Ride the bike. Just
Okay.
longer spend it.
Well, there you go. There's a
Spandex.
slide. For those of you who want to see, Travis posts on his IGY6 page, him and Spandex riding a bike. So, I know Amy's his number one fan. She's got that top fan badge up there.
She does.
Yeah, I'm sure Allie's somewhere behind it. So
I'm not at the top of that fan club. It's a big fan club.
I'm not gonna lie. Look, he gave me the top fan badge too. So whatever.
Amy's a different on top.
All right, guys, listen.
I'm out.
We heard Allie is having.
I'm done.
Yeah, look, Allie's having family
Still
holidays.
recording. How we?
So Allie, we will all crash your holidays this year.
Yes, please.
There you go.
So there you go. We're all going to Allie's. Y'all heard it. Text her for her address. If you don't got that number, well, sucks for you guys. On that note, guys, we will probably get the next video up. We'll probably do, I know, Allie, you are working on helping us out. We want to do a live session with everyone, do a live stream. Let us know what works for you guys, what topics you want to talk about. Get that into us ahead of time. We'll set that up for right after the new year. Other than that, look, again, we're 2 weeks out from Christmas, 3 weeks out from New Year's. It's going to be very hectic for some of us. So if you don't hear from us, drop us a line, hit our Facebook page up, email us, and give everybody's page a follow. So you've got Travis, we all know you've been with us since the beginning, IGY6 First Responders. Hit him up on his Facebook and his Instagram. Allie, remind us your Facebook page and your Instagram for us.
So my professional page, on Facebook, it's going to be under Allie Jade Hair. On Instagram is scissorme_timbers.
All right. And for now, really quick, before I go to Amy, Allie, do you have any more openings? Because I saw that all over Facebook. Any more openings before the holiday?
I actually opened up a Wednesday.
Okay.
For Christmas, and I can do 3 more clients on that day.
Okay.
So, and then potentially on what comes in, I might be able to work with my business partner's hours. So if you're looking to get in, just reach out to me. We'll figure something out.
Perfect. So there you go, guys. Hit her up, Allie Jade Hair on Facebook and scissorme_timbers, right? On Instagram.
Yep.
Send her a message. Get in there if you haven't seen it. She does some amazing work. So follow her pages. And Amy, shoot us, let us know if you have one, your Instagram and Facebook page. How can people get in touch with you?
GoFigure.fitness is my website, and everything on social media is Go Figure Fitness Solutions. So you can find us that way. And if you go to me on Little Miss Lifts, you can find all of it too. So
wonderful. So there you go. Now, if you guys, right after the holidays, we know that personal training and nutrition is going to be a big one. So guys can hit up Amy there. If you don't want to get beat up by a woman, we understand. Hit up Travis. Definitely don't hit me up because, I'm going to enjoy my holidays and eat like there's no tomorrow. One time a year that I don't feel guilty about that. On that, guys, it was great talking to you. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And we'll get back together. We'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night.